the National Cabinet wants to open up the borders, but Anastasia Palaszczuk, the Premier of Queensland, doesn't want the borders open. She's not rushing into it. Yes, I did bring it to the High Court, but it's the plaintiffs in the case. They're actually presenting their case, and you've got tourist operators that are taking on the Queensland government. Now, the Chief Justice has said that she found that the first round of costs must be awarded against the plaintiffs. For the fact is, the QC in this, Guy Reynolds, he's asked for the information to be provided to them, what the government relied on, or the Chief Executive Officer relied on to shut the borders. They didn't produce those documents. The Chief Justice said they didn't need to. Can you believe that? They don't need to produce the evidence to say why they've shut the borders. So it's proceeding anyway. So they will take it to the full bench. Yeah,
there should be more attention on this because I think it's important. A lot of people think opening their borders is important. This case, testing the legality of that is important. Surely we have a right to see what advice went to the Queensland government to say that they needed to shut their borders.
Correct, because it's all been about the health issues. And when the Chief Executive Officer, Jeanette Young, said, well, we really didn't have to stop the kids going to school, it was just basically to put out a message there of fear into people to take the coronavirus seriously. So then you've got to look at the facts of what was used to shut the borders and still keep them closed. In the last poll that was taken, I'm understanding that 80% of Queenslanders now want the borders opened. We've got, in this month alone, 30,000 people on the Gold Coast will lose their jobs because the tourism has declined dramatically, and we need the tourists from down south coming to Queensland. So Anastasia Palaszczuk is bloody minded over this to keep the borders shut. So I hope she doesn't go after the plaintiffs for the costs, because these are Queenslanders standing up for their rights, trying to protect their livelihoods, and I hope she doesn't go after the costs from the plaintiffs.
All right, now there's been a lot of a focus on Black Lives Matters around the world and in Australia of late. You put up a motion in Parliament today to say that all lives matter. Why was that so toxic to the major parties?
Well, the Liberal Party thought it was a very complicated issue to actually start to debate, to have it on the floor of Parliament. In notice of motion, there's no debate about these issues. They've put it up. The Parliament, we in the Senate vote on these notices of motion. They didn't want to put it there because, Chris, they didn't want to have to vote on it. So what I did, they denied me formality. So then I actually pushed the issue, and I actually asked for a division in the House. When they had to came to shove, they had to show which side they sat on. Everyone in the Parliament, bar Malcolm Roberts and myself, we voted for my motion. Everyone else voted against it. So the coalition, that's the Libs, the Nationals, the Centre Alliance, and Jackie Lambie and the Greens, Labor, they all voted against it. So, when I had Senator Faruqi, get up, and she actually accused me of being divisive and putting this up. And I said, you're just absolutely gutless. I said, this is about all lives matter. I said, you've been divisive in our nation by having only Black Lives Matter. Every life matters. And until we get to equality in this country, you're causing a division. And I don't believe it's pulling us together as a nation.
It is a very strange argument. I know they treat anybody who says all lives matter as somehow being racist. That Black Lives Matter is the only slogan to use. I suppose they're suggesting that when you say all lives matter, you're delegitimising the calls of racism that have inspired Black Lives Matter.
Chris, I've never been racist in any of my comments. I've exposed what I think is wrong with our system, that I've always called for equality. We're all Australians together. I've always said I've welcomed those migrants who've come to Australia for a new way of life, as long as they give their loyalty to Australia and become Australians, accept our nation, our laws, and abide by our laws. I've never had a go at anyone. But when we have people pushing their own agenda as much as what the Greens are and disregarding white Australians, I'm sick of seeing interviews and saying white supremacy. What is that? That's rubbish. We can and have to acknowledge our past, what's happened in the past, and what's happened to the Indigenous people was so wrong. I'll be the first to acknowledge that. But we can't shut our history down. And we must ensure that never happens again. But you must treat and look after people on an individual needs basis, not based on race. And that's exactly what they're trying to do, which is causing a division in our nation. And I'll just tell people out there, in the Indigenous population, from the 1971 census, it's gone from 116,000 up to 798,000, an increase of 459% compared to the rest of the populace of 83%. Because a lot of people now, there's no definition to Aboriginality. You can define yourself as an Aboriginal, or elders will accept you into that. So people are jumping on the bandwagon, calling themselves Indigenous to get the handouts.
Oh, typical Pauline Hanson. Just when we're
atrocious.
running out of time, you throw a big bomb in.
We will make America great again.